अनादि अविद्या अनिर्वाच्या कारणोपाधिरुच्यते उपाधित्रितयातन्यम् आत्मानम् अवधारयेत्. Ignorance is beginningless and inexplicable. It is said to form the causal body. We should understand the self to be other than these three conditioning bodies. In the previous two verses, we have learnt the two Upadhis, which are the gross and the subtle bodies. In this verse, we learn about the third Upadhi, which is the causal body. Acharya here is explaining that ignorance is the causal body. It is the cause due to which the other two bodies exist. Only when one forgets one's own nature, there arises limitedness. Due to this limitedness, duality arises, and hence all the miseries arise. The mind and the intellect, with their modifications, create a world of duality which is superimposed on the self. Through the gross body and inner organs, one experiences this outer world. Thus, both the gross and subtle bodies exist only when the truth about the self is not known. That is, only when there is ignorance. Anadi Avidya. For all experiences, any experience, it has to be understood that time is only an interval between two experiences. There should be a beginning experience, and there should be a subject of experience, an object being experienced, and a relation between them, that is the experiencing. Even for the first experience, the equipment for the first experience, that is the gross and the subtle body, must have existed prior to the first experience. For example, till the time only point A is there is no time factor involved. Only when one travels from one point A to another point B, then the time factor comes there, and we say that such and such time is taken for travel from point A to point B. If A is considered as the point of first experience, then the equipment to experience, that is the mind and the intellect, should have existed prior to this first experience A. Since avidya or ignorance is the causal body for the subtle and gross bodies, this avidya is also understood as existing prior to appearance of time. That is anadhi. Let us be clear about this. What Acharya is explaining here is experience comes after time-space have emerged, have come. Okay. Only when time factor is there, then at a particular time you experience something. So before experience, the time factor is there. Okay. And before the experience, within the realm of the time and space, Acharya is telling here that the gross and subtle bodies should have been there, because otherwise, if they are not prior to the experience, what will then experience? Okay. Prior to experience, time factor. Prior to time and experience, the gross and the subtle body should have been there. And the gross and the subtle body awareness is there only due to Avidya, which is the causal body. So causal body, in this sequence, causal body is before before the subtle and gross body. Gross subtle body are there before the time and the experience in the realm of time. So when we say the subtle body, gross body, and even prior to that the causal body, they are existing prior to the emergence of time, then they are Anadi, timeless, beginningless. Because any beginning it is with respect to time space. Okay, understood clearly? The gross and the subtle bodies are but a result of ignorance, and ignorance, which is the cause for the instruments of perception, feeling, and thought, cannot be brought fully within our experience, and hence it is inexplicable. Beginningless and inexplicable. Anadi Avidya. The desire lineage. Here, the new point brought out is the subject of the consequences of desire. Ignorance is said to be the form of the causal body. The causal body is just pure ignorance. We do not know the cause of ignorance. Logically, there can be no cause for it. It is said to be causeless. The desire lineage or the flow is explained as follows. First arises ignorance, avidya. Then arises desire, kama. And then with the desire, entry into samsara. And then performance of actions, karma, for fulfilling the desire in the samsara. And then the result of the actions are stored as papa and punya, demerit and merit. Accumulation of karma. And then death and entry into another birth, and then reaping the consequences of papa and punya, sorrow and joy. And then from here again the desire, second point. Ignorance, desire, entry into samsara, performance of karma, accumulation of karma, death, rebirth, and clearing and bringing the sanchita karma, which gets converted into prarabdha karma, and from here again go back. The flow go back to desire from where we started, and this circle is endless, goes on and on and on and on. This lineage, all these steps explained now, is the vicious circle spoken of in the scriptures. And the scriptures and the rishis of the yore have been trying only one thing: to save us from this desire lineage. Ignorance is considered to be beginningless. And since it is beginningless, it is also found to be causeless. We cannot know any cause for ignorance. However, we do know from logical analysis and intellectual understanding that the first effect of ignorance is desire. Kama flows from avidya. Desire is born due to ignorance of the truth. From desire, there arises a chain of consequences, which is like a desire lineage or inauspicious lineage, or in Sanskrit, anartha parampara. Knowledge of this lineage helps us to trace back to our original identity beyond ignorance. By saying that ignorance does not have a cause, Vedanta is not leaving you in lurch without a hope. Vedanta does not run away from the problem of causeless ignorance. It is just merely educating us about the beginningless and the causeless nature of ignorance. It is by facing this fact that Vedanta has established its credentials to provide the most flawless philosophical model to explain reality. The aim of the seeker is not to understand ignorance, but to gain knowledge that will negate this ignorance. It is futile to search for the cause of something illusory, and hence, even though these explanations are only to ward off a seeker from searching the cause of ignorance. Remember the roar of the Rishi from Himalayas, which he gave you in one of the talks. What was that? साहब माया अविद्या को समझने की कोशिश ना करें महाराज, उल्टा माया और अविद्या को काटिए. Okay. And the sword that can cut the avidya or ignorance is knowledge of Brahman. Swami Chinmayananda in his commentary gives a beautiful example for this. Keeping a burning gaslight on his head, one fool once walked the whole night through trying to place the light at some place where there is darkness. Seeking the root of ignorance is as futile as holding a lamp and searching place of darkness. Thus, repeating Again, the aim of seeker is not to understand the ignorance, but to gain knowledge that will negate this ignorance. As we have seen, it is futile to search for the cause of something illusory. Okay. The person is holding the lamp on his head. That means we are ourselves pure wisdom. We are ourselves the most powerful weapon to cut off, to rend asunder the ignorance. So, being wisdom ourselves, being knowledge ourselves, being the illumined self ourselves, what is the need for ourselves to search and talk about the darkness which is ignorance? This is what flows from Chinmaya's analogy. He wrote in the blog post on this ATMA BODHA post, thus, the aim of a seeker's very existence is to realize that ever-glowing lamp on his forehead, Chinmaya's analogy, the knowledge of the self, Satya Jyoti, Jnana Jyoti, Prema Jyoti, Ananda Jyoti. The lines in Bhagavan Sai Baba Bhajan. The fact that the world is seen means the ignorance exists. When we see the snake on a rope, ignorance exists. The reality, which is the rope, is not known. When we see the rope, which is the substratum of the snake is gone. Ignorance is gone. Similarly, when we see the universe, we are ignorant. The substratum is not seen. Realized souls here would say, I only see Brahman. There is no world. The world dissolves for them just like the snake had dissolved in the rope. The body is made of 5 elements. The body similarly, like our human body, so are the worms, reptiles, lion, birds, everything on this planet. All are same 5 elements, nothing different. All 5 elements are the same, therefore, the entire universe is a collective existence, that is, Samashti Drishti, universal collective vision. Jagat is another word for the universe, Jagat. Gacchati iti Jagat, keeps on moving, changing. So, it is Jagat. Something that is understandable only by 5 senses in the gross world. The individual gross body is a part of that gross existence. Ignorance is the cause of this gross body and the gross universe. Similarly, the cause of Shukshma Sharira, individual mind, Vyashti, cosmic mind Samashti, is ignorance, also referred as kāraṇopādhi. These Upadhis, Stula, Sukshma, Karana, are conditionings. The self as a witness substratum, which is not connected with anything, is witness, Sakshi, beyond these 3 bodies. That is why it is Sat, ever existent. Does not go when the Stula goes, Shushma goes, and Karana goes. From the Ananda Kutir, Maharaj wrote, the physical body is inert. It has a beginning and an end. It is full of impurities. It is perishable. It's a product of five elements. It can be seen by the naked eye. It is finite. It is changing. So it cannot be self-existent, self-luminous. The subtle body is also inert. It has a beginning and an end. It is the product of five tanmatras or subtle elements. It is changing. It is perishable. It is also finite. This cannot be, therefore, the ever pure, intelligent Atman. The causal body is nothing but ajnana or primitive ignorance. It is also inert. Man says, I am a person of ajnana. Though it is beginningless, it has an end. It is death for the causal body when one gets the knowledge of the self. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. This cannot be the eternal, pure, indivisible, infinite Atman. Which one? The causal body. Atman is not any one of these three bodies. It is the awareness or consciousness by which we are aware of the three bodies. It is called Chit. The Atman does not undergo any change during the three states of consciousness which we have seen in Ashtavakra Gita versus waking, dream, deep sleep, or during the passage of time, because it is beyond time. It is therefore called Sat or ever existent. Unquote. It is in a constant state of bliss or Ananda. The Atman is therefore Sat Chit Ananda or existence, knowledge, bliss. It is the principle that is self-effulgent, that pervades everything, including the space, and which is complete, Purnam. The Satchitananda Swarupa is the natural state of every living being, but it is not experienced because we are struggling in a wrong direction and squandering our energies on inconsequential matters. He who has realized his Atman and who knows that he is entirely distinct from the three bodies is an emancipated person. He has crossed this ocean of samsara. He is Brahman himself. He is adored in the three worlds. His glory is indescribable. Let us recap for a better understanding. See, for any experience, point by point, flow, sequence by sequence, be very clear. Otherwise, this particular talk will be very vague for you. See, for any experience, first of all, time factor is required. Only in the realm of time, you can say, previous moment I did not have this experience, this moment I had this experience. Okay, it is with respect to time. And now go back. For any experience, the gross and the subtle body should have been existent prior to experience. Okay. Still time factor is there. Gross and subtle bodies are existing in the realm of time-space. But gross and subtle body, awareness of the gross and subtle body is there only due to the causal body, that is the ignorance. Only when you are ignorant about your real identity, real nature as Atman, you recognize your identity as your gross and subtle body. Clear? And this ignorance is existing prior to Anadi Avidya. We have understood it is existing prior to time. Because if it is existing in the realm of time, we will know when it started. The point of time when it started, we do not know. So it is beginningless. This one sequence has to be clearly understood. Now come to the second part. Second part is, since it is beginningless and it is existing anadi before even time space, therefore we will lead to nowhere discussing and trying to understand and giving lecture and talking about this avidya. Then what is the solution? Now come to the third and the final part. Only Atma Vidya, Atma Bodha can make us rise, transcend this darkness, this ignorance. Okay, these three parts have to be very clear. With that, we will conclude the talks and understanding of the three bodies and proceed further in the next verse. Hari Om.